Googly. Googly.
Hello everybody, it's Adam Geising, Triad High School Tech Advisor, Webmaster, here with another video about how to get Googly. Today I'm going to start talking about Google Forms. This is a great way to create multiple choice quizzes that kids can take online for one-to-one communities. This is fantastic. Eventually we'll get into how to share it, how to have the computer grade your quizzes for you. So we'll get into all that later on. What I want to talk about now is basically how to create a form, what you can do, what types of questions you can ask, and then how you can use it in your classroom and how it's going to help you out and help you get more Googly. So without further delay, let us get Googly. So step one for getting Googly anytime is to start out in Google Drive, drive.google.com. You can click up here in the 9 buttons and choose your Drive triangle. Once you get into Drive and you go to the folder that you want to create your form in, click on New. In here, you're going to go to More and then Google Forms, and that's going to open up Google Forms. Now, a lot of people are going to see this version of Forms, which is the old version, if you've never used Forms before. So if you see this option, you're like, this looks weird, click up here on the top where it says try the new Google Forms. This is the version that we're going to use that I'm showing you. The capabilities are still exactly the same. It just looks a little bit prettier, and they've kind of combined some ideas together. So if for some reason you ever want to go back to the old Forms, this little Running Man guy will send you to the old Forms. Anyway, basically what a form is, so we're clear on this, is that it's an online, either a way to do quizzes with multiple choice answers. People can do quizzes in essay form or paragraphs or short answers. Either way, it's online and it's submitted, and then you collect all of the answers without having to physically collect any papers or anything like that. These can also be used for surveys, anonymous surveys. But I'm going to sort of give the presentation today as if you were giving the kids a quiz online. So when you get a form and you open it up, just like any other document in Google, it's editable, it's shareable, and you can collaborate. But we're going to just start here with naming this thing, and we're going to call it, instead of untitled form, I'm going to name it, we'll just call it practice quiz. So we got a good idea. And that's going to name it down there below as well. When you name it up in the top, it names the quiz here. This is the overall name, and again, the form description can be, anything. Here's a multiple choice quiz or something like that. All right, I never spell anything correctly when the pressure's on. So, once we have established the name and we've given some directions, we're now going to start collaborating with some questions. Now, anytime you have a quiz like this, multiple choice is going to be your obvious answer, and that's one of the options. Another way to do this is to do checkboxes where you can have multiple correct answers. Choose from a drop-down list. The short answer is obviously short answer. Paragraph is obviously extended answers. Down here at the bottom, the linear scale and the multiple choice grid are also going to be more for surveys. So the linear scale would be one where you say, rate your approval of this video 1 through 5, and you all would put 5, meaning it's awesome. Multiple choice grid is where you can say, I strongly agree in the columns, I sort of agree, I disagree, and then your options, the things that they can disagree with on the left-hand side. So that's going to be more surveys. We're looking at multiple choice type quizzes. So true-false type quizzes, things that, would be more like formative assessments, things that are not necessarily totally dependent on, major grades. You probably wouldn't want to do a major exam as this type of quiz. These are more for the simple daily short quizzes, entrance quizzes, exit quizzes, those types of things. So for this practice quiz, we're going to create a couple multiple choice questions, and basically they're pretty simple. You put the question in here, something like, do you like dogs? And their options will be, again, we can just fill these in. Yes, fill it in here. Yes or no or maybe, and I am simply hitting enter at the end of those lines, and it's bringing up the next option. All right, so I've got my question here, I've got my options here. This button is the duplicate button. You can obviously send it to trash anytime. Most of these quizzes will require questions to be answered, some will not. This last option here, again, can you put hint text in there, like, are you sure you like dogs? Think really carefully, or something under the hint. You can also have your answers go to a different section based on whether or not they say yes or no, and I'll show you what that is in just a second. So as you're adding more multiple choice questions, you simply click the plus button. You can add more questions that way. Or if we trash this one, you can duplicate it. If you have a yes, no, maybe, simply duplicate it and then say, do you like cats? And then you have some multiple options here with the questions and the responses are the same. So the way they break this up is you can have questions sort of in a row, or you can add what they call here, add a title and description. So maybe you've got a couple questions about pets. Then you want to add a question about sports. And then you have your questions here about do you like football or do you like baseball? And the way this shows up, and I'll show you in a second, I'll add another question here after it. So do you like baseball? And the questions might be yes or no and maybe. So what we've done here is created now another section within the same page. So when people look at it, they'll see multiple questions, then they'll see a little flag here that says, hey, we're in the sports section, and then you'll have sports questions. Now, what the sections are is this little button right down here, which is adding a section. When you click on that, it will bring up a whole new page. So when the kids get to the end of this baseball question, at the bottom, they'll see a next button, which will send them to a brand new page, which has its own title, and you can give it its own organization. So if you were giving a quiz that had true false, maybe you'd put true false on one section, multiple choice in another section, and essay in the final section. And that would be one way to do it. So again, you can make this quiz work however you want. Come on down to this section, add yourself another question, and we'll just add some fake questions and answers in here. Okay, so I've got my quiz. I've made it all up. I'm good to go. Now, some of you may be asking, well, I've got quizzes I've already created. Do I have to type in all of the answers all the time? And I'm going to tell you absolutely not. So let's say you've got a quiz that you've already created and you want to add some questions from that. Let's do this. Pull up another document that has some quiz questions. Here's some quiz questions. The way this works, you can copy and paste the questions and the answers. Now, you don't have to do each answer individually. The question, however, and I'm going to right click and copy this, does need to be pasted separately. Okay, so which of the following most clearly state? Okay, so here's our our Romeo and Juliet question. So there's my question. I go back to this document. I can select all 4 of these options, copy them, and then drop them into option 1 and hit paste. And there they all go separated evenly. Now, you might have some A's and B's left over that you might have to leave, to reorganize sort of your formatting. But you can get rid of the A's, B's, C, D altogether because these tests do not rearrange the answers. Now, you can give it the option, and I'll show you those in a minute, the option of shuffling the questions within a section. And so it will shuffle the questions within a section, but it will not shuffle the answers. So you can put A, B, C, D. They won't get all mixed up later on. You can leave them out. It won't make any difference. They'll always be in that right order. So you can say, you know, both the first and second options are correct or something like that if you're doing multiple choice questions like that. So that's really handy if you've got a big quiz already. The copy-paste process is pretty quick. Now, a couple other things we can do. Let's say we're done with our quiz. We've created it. We want to now maybe adjust some of the color schemes. You can adjust the colors. You can add pictures to this top banner. Let's say you want to give a quiz about grilling. There, happy Father's Day. And you can select that image and put that on. You can also put your own images in. Obviously, it's pretty wide open for what you can do. So that's the color palette. Another handy thing is the preview. Click on this little eyeball in the top corner. It's going to bring up a brand new tab. This is what the quiz taker will see in your quiz. Here's our dogs, cats question, the sports question. We got the next, and then here we have our Romeo and Juliet. And then when they're totally finished, you hit the submit button. Okay, so that's just a good way to look and see this is what your quiz looks like. Now, the settings button is going to be your really, really important settings. As a teacher giving a quiz to students, you want to make sure that, first of all, it collects their names, their usernames, and their sign-ins, because you do not want to have students take the quiz and it not attached to their username. So I always say, as a school, we are under the Triad Community Unit school district sort of umbrella. I want anybody in my district to be able to take the quiz, and I want to automatically collect a respondent's unit district 2 username. Always, always, always. Because you do not want to have your kids take a quiz and their name not be attached to their answers. It doesn't, even if you put your name as one of the questions, It's still not as reliable as having it totally collect the username as they take the quiz. So I also say can submit only one response. This is something you can always turn off later if necessary, but you never know when a kid might grab another computer from a cart that was still signed in from another kid's name and take the quiz under that other kid's name. That can be confusing down the road. So I always say one response only. If you have to take it off for a kid to take the quiz, you can always undo it and put it back on. Not a big deal. I always give them a little message like nice job at the end of the confirmation page. Good job, I'm sure you got 100%. Down at the bottom, I do not let them edit their responses or see a summary of the responses. I do show the progress bar because it's just something to see. And if it works, I will shuffle the question order. Again, that's an option so that kids taking the quizzes sitting around each other will not necessarily see the same questions at the same time. So those are good. Obviously, you want to save the options. Another couple things over here. This is our little editing button. You can make a copy. You can get rid of it if you're done. A link, and I'm going to talk about in my next video, I'm going to talk about how to send these quizzes out to people. Obviously, you can print it. You can add collaborators. And obviously, this is all Google stuff, help center, report a problem, take a tour. So that's how you create a quiz. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how you get it out to your people. And then after that, we're going to look at what we can do with the responses. There's a few things you can do with responses. So thanks for joining me. Check out my other videos about Google Forms. Make yourself a quiz, 10 questions. 5 questions. Try it out. Get the kids a computer. They can take these quizzes on their phones. However you want to do it, try it out and see if it works for you. Thanks for watching. This has been Adam Geisen, and we're getting googly, and I'll see you next time.
Googly. 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 Googly.